550 and 92.9 WAME Statesville.
Some would say freedom died in 2021. No, we say freedom is here and she is taking her stand. Come visit the American Patriot Supply where freedom still rings. 920 Davie Avenue, Statesville. We like women with guns, but we love a room full of women with guns in their purses. Come check out all our concealed carry purses.
FM, WAME radio, DHAMIM.com, as well as RacingRoots.com. You can watch us live here in the Randy Marine studio on our Facebook page. That's Racing Roots with Hamm, and also on DHAMIM on YouTube. So I apologize for not having any opener this evening. Couldn't find it in the computer, so it's got to be in there somewhere. But, had a few little distractions this evening. But we're going to roll right into the show because we have got our special guest this evening, Kyle Lockrow. How you doing today, Kyle?
Doing great, Dave.
Good, man. Who'd you bring with you?
I brought my manager, Tanya Banning, with me. She handles all the managerial stuff with KLR Management Group, LLC, and she handles all my at-the-track and away-from-the-track sponsorship needs and everything we have going on.
Well, that sounds like a little bit of stress.
Just a little.
Just a little, because you have to put up with Kyle, and you have to manage other things.
She doesn't make enough to deal with me.
I understand. So where did you come up here from?
Well, we were actually at Daytona for the Speed Week festivities. I was not driving this weekend, but I was spotting and doing some driver coaching for Bryce Hodgeberg. He's a young 18-year-old kid out of North Dakota. He was making his Daytona debut, so I was asked to spot for him in the race and, like I said, do a little bit of coaching. That was actually my first experience spotting on a super speedway, and I have a full new respect for a lot of those spotters up there. Those guys they earn their money.
You have good eyeballs.
Yeah, and I think I closed them once or twice with a couple things, but it was a lot of fun. I learned quite a bit.
If I was spotting at this point, I'd have to do this, cover my left eye, and then I could see with my telescope eye, because my other one can only see right here, about 6 inches in front of my face. That's why I was showing y'all my glasses earlier, but as you can see, I broke them again. This is my second pair, same glasses. So whatever brand this is, don't ever buy it. But the thing is, they're only $10. For these frames. Yeah. So, if they break on, it's whatever.
They look like nice glasses. Like we said, you need that 200-mile-an-hour tape to get through the studio.
I know. You gave me the idea. I should have done that before the show so I could wear them and it wouldn't look too bad. I could at least say, I got my 200-mile-an-hour tape holding my glasses together. Oh, yeah. So we are here in the Randy Marine studio live in Statesville. If this is your first time listening, you're listening to Racing Roots with Hamm, and my name is David Hamm, of course. And we have a new guest each week. We talk about their racing roots, their path, their story, their racing roots. And, of course, my wife Tracy's over here helping out as well. So if you got any questions or comments, go ahead and pop them on, and we'll get to them.
On YouTube. I can't get StreamYard open yet.
Here in a little bit. Well, it's on my Facebook page, and it's on the Racing Roots Facebook page.
It is. I just can't open it yet.
Oh, right. So she's working on some technicals over here. Don't you do IT stuff?
I do, but when it comes to certain things, it's just you need to get in voodoo or something on some of these things.
I got you.
I feel like that's what it must be because I never can get it to work right.
That's how it is with me at work sometimes. There's days where it works flawlessly, and there's other days where the movie Office Space and a bat and a printer is the best image you have of what to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Well, I was thinking maybe y'all need to switch places, but
okay.
Well, and if you need a part-time gig, it doesn't pay, but you can come in and help out with some of the computer stuff.
My number. You have your people call my people. We'll arrange it.
That's right. Yeah. Normally I have a kid, Bryson, who's the Patrick Swayze lookalike. If you like mullets, he has the perfect mullet for a 16-year-old. He's got it going on. But
he needs to meet Logan.
Yeah.
He needs to meet Logan.
Oh yeah, who's Logan?
Logan is a friend of mine who lives up in Tennessee. His best friend is a guy that I co-owned a road course car with, and Logan is your good old boy from the mountains of Tennessee, mullet, God bless America, everything. He just fits that image.
All right. Are we allowed to say that now?
I hope so.
I'm just kidding. That goes with some of you were telling me before the show. But yeah, kind of an inside joke there. But yeah, and we normally have Phil Cavalli has been in here with us a lot of times, and he is the photographer that's been around NASCAR for, well, a long time, but he's been taking pictures for 35 years, I believe, something like that.
He's been around a long time. I've seen a lot of his work pop up with J-Ski and different media organizations. I use a lot of his work just because it's good quality. Yeah,
it is. He does a good quality job. He took pictures while he was in the Navy, which is pretty amazing. So, you know, if you're going to take spy pictures or whatever, I don't know if we can say that. Anyway, if you're going to do that kind of pictures, you have to be a good quality guy. So
absolutely.
Yes. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you tell us your story. So basically start from the beginning. You know, how did you, I know you were talking a little bit before the show about who you were a fan of and that kind of thing. So if you want to start out from the beginning, take off.
Well, racing is something that I fell in love with at about 6 or 7 years old. I grew up watching a lot of Hanna-Barbera flavored cartoons, Scooby-Doo, Flintstones, Jetsons, etc. And when the Turner Network was sponsoring Diamond Ridge Racing and the Mellings in the late 90s, that's what really piqued my interest in racing because of the sponsorship being on the cars. And over time, it just progressed into what it's become today of trying to race and be involved in the sport in multiple aspects. And was a Jeff Gordon fan, looked up to him, Brian Vickers, Landon Castle, a lot of guys that have really paved their way in the sport and made themselves who they are. And I wanted to emulate that and work my way up. So as time went on, my family didn't have the money to really put me into a race car. And that kind of situation at home has been there's been a lot of tension with that. My parents are not the most supportive with the racing venture. So I've kind of been the pioneer of the family of getting into it. I still work full time doing IT for a government contractor. I do a lot of charity work. I'm involved with Special Olympics and Best Buddies. I still work with a young man with Down syndrome. I've been with him for about 12 years. It's been a great experience, but really having to make a lot of relationships in racing and really pave my way and bring myself up to where I'm at now it's been a hard task.
When you said Hannah at first, I thought you were going to say, I grew up watching Hannah Montana, you know.
No, that was my younger brother.
But there you go. How'd that work out? But yeah, we had Diamond Ridge Racing was the place. When I left, when Sabco, we were in Charlotte. And when we moved that shop to Mooresville, I believe they were the ones that moved in there. In that Cartoon Network car. And that's kind of cool. It shows you how the different sponsors that are around can influence different styles of people, you know. I mean, you're always going to have the McDonald's and the Coors Light and whatever. And I was actually at a party yesterday for the Daytona 500, and it was up here in Mooresville, or down here in Mooresville. And it was over at Kyle Harvey. He was playing his band, you know. And Kyle Harvey Sr. showed up. He drove straight from down there. And but I saw Kyle was over there drinking Coors Light, and I'm thinking, you know, that goes back to the days when we were working with the Coors Light team. You know, you kind of have these things that follow you throughout life. So yeah.
It was a lot of that car, that number 27, that purple Scooby-Doo car. A lot of people probably remember that because that was 97 when Presley did that up and over at Daytona in the 500. And I have the diecast at home. I still have the hat from when I was a kid. And my dad actually in 97 went with a friend of his to Martinsville and got Presley's autograph and brought it home. And that's really, like I said, just really what kicked it off. And it's funny just how a lot of these sponsorships with that brand loyalty really, it resonates in people, adults and children.
For sure. When was your first race that you went to?
Richmond, 2001 in September. It was the first rendition they did with Looney Tunes when they had the Chrome Illusion cars that year in the fall. And I remember it very well. Gordon was on the pole, and that was when he got wrecked by Marlin, lap 35. And I just remember I was distraught as a kid, and I remember the whole place just going nuts because they all hated Gordon because that was in the prime of his success. You know, the year he won the Ford championship, and I mean there were fingers flying and people cheering, and I mean it was. But I just remember that race because it really, watching the cars under the lights and the Chrome Illusion paint jobs, and then seeing the brakes light up as the guys would go off into 1 and 3. It really, like I said, just drove my passion. And it got my attention as an 11-year-old kid.
Is that when you decided too that you wanted to be a race car driver?
The thought was there off and on. I just did a lot of the simulator racing with the NASCAR Racing 4, the Papyrus games that they had back in the day, and the NASCAR Racing 2003, obviously in the days before the iRacing simulator. But I did a lot of that as a child when I wasn't in school or doing recreational sports. But really at 14, I wanted to get into go-karts. But again, we didn't have the money. So it died till I was about 17. And after a shoulder injury I had when I broke my collarbone in wrestling, I said, you know what, I'm going to see what this racing has and going to go for it and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. Did you ever play NASCAR 98?
Oh, yeah, that actually was another thing that got me into racing. The Montag family, Denny and Molly and their sons, Andrew and Travis, I grew up with them. I went to school with them at Archbishop Neal in La Plata, Maryland, where I'm from. And they had the games. Denny was a big Bill Elliott fan, so we used to play the game all the time. And that was along with the Hanna-Barbera NASCAR 98. I've still got a copy of it.
Yeah. That's
I
cool.
still play it every once in a while.
Yeah.
And it really is what drove that to say, you know what, it got me rolling.
Is that song, Molly Hatchett's song, I'm Traveling Down
Flirting
the
with
Road,
Disaster. Oh, yeah.
Flirting with Disaster.
Absolutely.
So if you watch that game, you can see me running around in the front of the car. You can see me down with the jack during that song. And then I do this. I remember it very well. I believe it was at Wilkesboro. And I had to, my jack, this is when I was learning as a jackman things that you need to look for. And of course, the jack stalled with that race. That's another story. Everybody's heard that one. But the other one was that in that video game, I can see myself where I'm trying to loosen the handle and I had to hit it twice, like twist, twist.
Yes,
And
I
then
remember that clip.
Grab
now.
it, and then I'm running around. And so, yeah, it's, and I'm like, dadgummit, of all the things they used, at least they didn't use the one where I couldn't get the jack under the car.
For the average fan like me at the
Yes.
time as a kid, it looked normal. It's like, oh, he's just resetting to go to the other
Yes.
side. So there you go, you're good.
Yeah. I was just giving that tire changer that other half a second.
Making sure he's hitting that lug, right? That fifth lug. Yep.
Yeah, that was our guy. Travis Block was the front tire changer's name. And Travis Block, yeah. And then Kristen Swinky was a photographer that would always there, and they ended up getting married or whatever. But
that's cool.
It's like, you can meet all these people in racing throughout the years.
Yeah, it's a big family. A lot of it's a small world in that where a lot of people know everybody, and really it's amazing to kind of see where people go over time.
For sure. Did you see? Were you at Richmond in 2014 by chance?
The spring or the fall?
Oh, that's a good question. It's the one it's the night race. They had to stop the race. Well, I guess they both are. They had to stop the race because a guy climbed up on the fence. Remember that?
I think
It's
I was
classic.
that. I think. Oh yeah, the guy was so hammered he got on the fence out of 4. I remember that. I think I was there for that one.
Talking about you, Dickie.
Yeah.
Actually, yes, I
He's
do.
listening.
I was there. I think I was on the backstretch watching that one.
Okay.
And I remember hearing the clip of Boyer, and he's like, some idiots on top of and he was up there for about 5 laps till they really threw the caution. It's like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's just sitting up there, just drinking, watching. And we're like, they're really not going to throw the caution.
They could have just let him stay there the rest of the race. They should have taken his cell phone to him though, because he forgot his cell phone. He threw his arms up in the air when he realized he didn't have a cell phone. He's wanting to get a selfie with the 4 car, with Harvey going by. So, it's a classic story.
Yeah.
Old Dickie Dennis up in Virginia, he always tunes in, and he's actually been down here, went to Martinsville with us, and he's been on the show too. So. Good stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny though how many people come in here and they say, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy." Like Doug Yates was here and he's like, "That's my hero." Different people. So, and our good friend Chris Boucher won one of the races this weekend, or Thursday last week, won one of the qualifying races. So I started to text him and ask him if he wanted to call in, but I figured he's probably busy right now. He's probably getting hounded by everybody and their brother. Of course, if he'd have won the race, then he definitely would have been, but
He had a good speed week. So I'll tell you what, the RFK guys, they really showed some strength. I think they're going to be strong this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too. I think so. I actually was picking him or Keselowski to win the race, but the 2 car ended up winning, of course, with Austin Cendric. And then, all right, the official rundown was Austin. I don't always do the rundown from the race because we just like to talk about the past and the history. But, we're still all race fans. Just can't get rid of it. Bubba Wallace finished second. Chase Briscoe, another Ford, and Ryan Blaney, another Ford. Eric Almirola, another one. And then Kyle Busch was in 6th. Michael McDowell, 7th. David Reagan 8th, which is a good run for him. He's has been out for a little while. Brad Keselowski 9th and Chase Elliott 10th. So yeah, good start for them. I built engines over at RoushYates for a while, 16 years. And so now I always still pull for them. You know, those are my friends over there. And, okay. Did you see, it's apparently StreamYard is not streaming?
Correct.
Okay. Well, you know what? I got it set over on the other computer. So, I don't know. It looks like there's some comments coming on over there, but I don't have young Bryson here to go check it out. Maybe during our break, I could go over there and see. But I also need to make a phone call during our break because we were talking about the winner, the winner of the race, Austin Cendric. So I was going to have Darin Russell call in here just for a few minutes, and then we'll get back to your story as well.
Absolutely.
All right, so continue on with your story, by the way.
So real quick, congratulations to the two team with Team Penske and those guys. They had really good speed weeks, and Austin Cendric. I've actually met Austin before the pandemic. I think it was December of 2019. I actually got to sit next to Austin during the Stocks for Tots event in Mooresville. So got to talk to him a little bit. And then actually I remembered Austin when he drove for Mark McClure in the K&N days when he won the road courses for him. And so, just congratulations to those guys. He's come a long way from that road course sweep back in 16. So it was good for those guys.
Yeah, very good. This year he was beside Joey Logano at the Stocks for Tots.
Okay.
Because they asked me to come down there and do basically broadcast from there. So I ended up doing that. That was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Really cool event.
It was a great event this year. I mean, the turnout they said was huge. I think not having it for a couple of years due to the pandemic really inspired people to get out and be part of it. And there were a ton of personalities, drivers, and crew members there. So it was good. I think it was good for everybody. They raised a lot of money. Yeah,
for sure. All right. So if y'all have any questions, y'all want to put them up there and put a big Q in front of it. And if you haven't, Tracy's scanning them right now. And I'll go over here during our little break and see what's going on with the StreamYard and see if that's working. That way we can make sure we're streaming on Facebook. So we'll be right back to Racing Roots with Hamm.
20,000 students. Iredell Statesville schools rank among the 20 largest school districts in North Carolina. Our teachers represent a wealth of knowledge, with the average teacher in our district having 15 years of teaching experience. Iredell Statesville Schools' innovative approach blends a one-to-one technology initiative with collaborative best practices and a hands-on approach to learning. In addition to traditional school settings, the district provides a wide range of exciting educational opportunities through our choice programs, specifically designed for unique student needs. No matter your age, your background, or your personal goals, there's a place for you in the Iredell Statesville schools.
In today's world, the most important thing you can give your child is a strong Christian foundation. We at Hope Christian Academy, located outside of Troutman, can help provide that foundation by offering an education centered around Jesus Christ. Hope Christian Academy's small class sizes enable our experienced staff to give much-needed one-on-one attention to each of our students. Our school offers a safe Christian environment, affordable tuition, quality education, and accepts Opportunity Scholarship. If these things sound right for your family, then give us a call at 704-528-5555 to set up a tour or schedule your child's free day of education.
You screwed up. You know what you did was wrong. The question is, how are you going to make things right?
Yep, you forgot Valentine's, didn't you? Valentine's came and went, and now you're in the doghouse.
Who's in the doghouse now?
Maybe you didn't get her what she wanted, or even worse, you forgot altogether.
He's in the jailhouse now.
But listen, Ren, don't worry. Johnson Greenhouses is here to help fix the problem. They've got a large selection of flowers in stock or can help you create the perfect gift basket filled with all of her favorites. It's cold in the doghouse. Come to Johnson Greenhouses and get back inside where you belong. Johnson Greenhouses, 204 Salisbury Road in Statesville. And Johnson Greenhouses will also be at the Bridal Expo February 20th at the Statesville Civic Center. Johnson Greenhouses, 204 Salisbury Road in Statesville.
Real Country 550 and 92.9 WAME.
All right, we're back to Racing Roots with Hamm right here on 550 AM, 92.9 FM, and on DHAMM on YouTube. And that's all we're getting tonight because that didn't stream on the Facebook after all.
Had a little malfunction.
Yeah, but what I'll do is I'll go back and cut later and chop it up into segments or cut out all the riff-raff stuff, and I'll put it back on Facebook. Hey, we got Darin on the phone.
How you doing?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Well, thanks for taking our call this evening. We wanted to wish you a congratulations on your win yesterday. How cool is that?
I appreciate it. Yeah, pretty incredible. It's always a whirlwind race, and can't get excited until those cars cross the finish line, because there's been a lot of times where you've been disappointed, where you're leading coming out of 4, and all of a sudden you cross the start finish line and you're not even close.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we've seen some wins, working over there with the Fords over the years, and we've seen a lot of disappointments as well. But this time it was great to see you down there in the winner's circle in the video. And all
yeah,
that.
it was absolutely incredible experience. So it was good.
Well, all right. So it was actually kind of you were running up front, but you weren't leading there at the end. So I didn't know who the winner was until I saw the crew jumping around on pit road. It's like, all right, cool. I actually thought Bubba won it at first. And then, So what were y'all thinking?
Yeah, try not to get too excited. And then once I saw that we crossed the finish line first, it was over then.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty awesome. But to be in the situation, when we let up, we didn't lead all race, but we were up front most of the race, and knew we had a pretty strong car. But if it really wasn't for Ryan letting us jump in front of him, then it probably would have had a different outcome. So having your teammate up there with you towards the end is definitely a plus. Having a little advantage over everybody else that's trying to take the win. Ryan was a true team player last night, and can't thank him enough.
Yeah, that's cool. What did Big Mark say to you after the race? Anything?
He's still trying to get one too. It took me 23 years. I mean, obviously I've got a few of them as a company, but to have your personal car, the one you tune it on and all that, be in victory lane, and you with the team and all that, he's like, man, I tell you what, he's like, you got one over me. Yeah. And Big Mark's got a lot of wins. He's been in the sport, I had to say, around like 30 years, if not more. But yeah, everybody was super happy. Everybody was just over the top, speechless. It was just absolutely great. One of the best things I've ever been a part of.
Yeah. And what is Chris Puskis' role over there now?
He moved from an engine tuning position. He is now underneath mechanic. Okay. But nowadays, you really have to have, because they've limited us on crew members that travel, he's just a well-rounded mechanic. He can do everything from engines to car mechanic stuff. He's just very mechanically inclined. Mm-hmm. He's just a great guy, personality, gets along with everybody, and he can do every job on the car, which is having good depth on a team with someone that knows every single part and piece of the car. Because, as you know, there's usually two parts of a race car. There's an engine, and then there's a car. You have one person in charge of the engine, and then you have 7 guys in charge of the car. So with him being well-rounded like he is, knowing every piece of the car, it just gives our team a lot more depth, and we're able to do a lot more. Just having that many people that are well-rounded like that.
Yeah, that's cool. He was always good in the engine shop there too. Always got along with everybody. Yeah. Real fun guy.
Yep.
Around. So I got a picture. Great guy. I've got your pictures. I've been putting them on the screen here, and I've got the ring on there right now. That's a big ring. That's the biggest one I've seen.
Yeah, it is. Full of diamonds and everything. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not mine. It was the crew chief's, but yeah, we should be able to get ours here sometime soon. Mm-hmm. But it's a really big ring.
That's cool. I was wondering how y'all got rings so fast.
Yeah, they have a few of them. They've got one for the car owner, the driver, and the crew chief, and then we'll have to order ours later.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's nice. Yeah, that's the way it goes in the engine shop too. We end up getting them like around Christmas time. It's kind of like an extra Christmas present,
Yeah.
Christmas bonus.
Nice stocking stuffer from Santa.
Yeah, for sure, man. We got Kyle Lockrow in with us. Have you ever met him before, Darin?
I don't think so. Not by name. Okay. Maybe if I saw him.
Yeah.
Well, Darin, congratulations on your another Daytona 500 for you. You guys have a really well-oiled machine over there at Penske, and you were right. Blaney did a great job, and I'm sure you guys were nervous, especially when Austin came down and had to defend the bottom on Bubba and came out on top. But it was awesome for you guys, and it's good momentum going into the West Coast swing.
Yeah, it is. It's good to get that first one knocked out of the way early, because it's not like the pressure's off, because there's always going to be pressure there to win races and do well. But at least knowing that you're in the chase, you could probably take a little bit riskier chances on certain tracks, certain races, to go ahead and just get the win, try and get the stage points. I mean, we've seen championships get lost by down to the point, so every point matters. But if you're off sequence, then you can usually take more chances to try and win the race rather than just getting a top 10 and trying to get out of there with decent points.
No, absolutely.
So it does help.
I mean, it definitely helps you guys. I mean, I think it doesn't take the pressure off you guys, as you stated earlier, but I think it takes a little bit of pressure off the expectation. I mean, him taking over the car from Brad with his departure and the fact that he did so well in a limited schedule last year, especially when he was leading in the rain at COTA. And honestly, we all, at least in my opinion, I thought he was going to win the thing in that 33 car. So I think him as a rookie coming out, getting a win out of the box is good for you guys and takes that pressure off. And like you said, it just leads into better going into the season. So again, congratulations. And I think it makes it easier. And especially you get into those races like the road courses where he is strong, you guys can definitely take some chances and maybe try some fuel strategy or something to get him another victory.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Darin. If you want to say anything else, go ahead. And
No, just incredible experience. Still trying to recover from last night. We got home about noontime and took a little nap, so I'm trying to get some things done so we can hit it hard tomorrow, because the cars have to leave. They have to be loaded up tomorrow afternoon, and trucks will leave in Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, so we'll be hard at it tomorrow.
You're still going to be able to go on.
Not really too many breaks when you're in when you're in the racing, but yeah, we work hard no matter what. Yeah. So we'll go get them in California.
For sure. You still going to be able to be on my buddy Tim Packman's show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep, tomorrow night. Yeah.
Cool. Well, good deal. Tell him I said hello. Give me a shout out.
Will do. Yep. I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Darin. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
See you, buddy. Bye.
Yep. Bye.
All right. Very good. Darin Russell right there. And he was down. I saw him, and of course, in the video and the pictures and all that kind of stuff, down there enjoying that big win at the Daytona 500. Very cool. And of course, talking about one of our teammates that I worked with at RoushYates for a while. He ended up working in the dyno room, and then he got the job over at Penske. So
good deal. Pretty
well-rounded guy there. And then Darin's been around a long time. I don't know if you've ever seen him, but
no, like he said, I'm sure he hasn't seen me with me being so new into the sport. I may have crossed paths with him, but I don't know him by face. I'd have to really see him and put a name with a face. But
yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of guys in the garage that just have an abundance of experience, and they're there for a reason. They've grown and developed themselves.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit more about your racing and what you're going to be doing moving forward. And yeah.
Well, just to kind of follow up on what we were doing before the break, when I started at 17, I decided I wanted to pursue the driving. Got into Legends cars, started doing some testing, a little bit of racing. Kind of did a combination of Legends cars, 4 cylinders, late models, a lot of the development stuff you see on the short tracks. And did a little bit of ARCA testing, did the test at Daytona a couple times. But ironically, Eric McClure is really kind of who helped kind of mold and revamp my career. I was kind of in 2016, I was thinking about giving it up. And he gave me a call and said, hey, I got to do an amateur road course program in a series called Champ Car Endurance Series. And he said, I'd really like for you to come down to do the Charlotte Roval with us and like to give you a shot and see what you can do in the car. So did that. We had a really successful weekend. Unfortunately, we didn't finish the race. Got into an accident about 3 or 4 hours into the 14-hour. But really, me being able to start the race, have a successful stint, really helped me get rolling. And from there, it's kind of led into hopefully doing some truck stuff and ARCA and more late models. So just trying to get where I'm at. And then along with doing more road racing, I realized that road courses were going to become more prominent in stock cars. So I realized I was like, okay, I need to do a combination of oval and road course, because kind of like what Darin was talking about with guys being utility guys, with the limit of crew guys, I needed to be a utility guy as a driver. because I need to be able to go from a Richmond to a Glen to a Daytona to a Charlotte week after week and not just be rounded on one end. I need to be the whole spectrum.
Yeah. It's not just 2 races anymore, pretty much, like Sears Point and Watkins Glen, you know, like it was back in the day. Yeah. They've added the Charlotte and then different stuff. And then, I mean, even look at how they did the LA Coliseum thing, you know, your little quarter-mile track.
Bringing the Bowman Gray aspect back to the bull ring, where you got to take that high horsepower car and make it work on the real short track. Yeah.
If there's any track that you would really want to race at, even if it's not existing anymore, do you have one?
Richmond.
Okay.
It's home for me. It's where I saw my first race. I got my first autograph in 2003 in the fall when I met Christian Fittipaldi at the Petty trailer when he was in the Cheerios car, the 43 car. And just, I've had so many experiences at Richmond. My grandmother, my Grammy, my mom's mother, we went to our first race together in 2002. It was the Spring Bush race that year that Keller won when Bobby Jr. ran out of gas. And we were in the stands and just remember everything about it. And I mean, I've got so many memories there. I did the Petty experience there when I was 18 years old just to get to drive it before I really pursued the big stuff. So Richmond is home. Richmond is where a lot of people, friends and family that have followed what I've been doing. So I'd like to go home and at least race there.
Yeah. Well, Richmond's a really, really cool place for sure. One of my favorites. Always liked going there. And what about as far as the super speedways? Which one would be your favorite?
Honestly, until I get to really drive both of them, it's kind of hard to give you an opinion. Obviously, Daytona, it's a little bit thinner as far as the driving lines. It doesn't have the width that Talladega does. They both drive different. They both have their characteristics. So I'd like to kind of see how they both drive and make that comparison once I've been in the draft and by myself. So.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Tracy, you want to turn it over to you right quick and see if there's any.
Yeah, there's actually 2 questions from Random Epic. The first one he has is, what was your favorite track and your favorite driver back in the day and today?
Richmond and Richmond. But I've also gotten to like Charlotte. It's where I tested an ARCA car for the first time. Fell in love with the place. Watkins Glen on the road course. I've gotten to do it in the rain and the dry. I've done the IMSA layout. I haven't done the NASCAR layout yet. So, but I just fell in love with it. It's a track that really just seemed to suit my driving style. And my drivers back in the day were Jeff Gordon when I really got started. And then I started with Brian Vickers when he came along and got from his dad's deal with Clyde had his deal, then with Hendrick and on up from Red Bull and Michael's deal. But then Landon Castle, when he came in as a Chevy development driver with Hendrick in 07, did the partial, then with Junior. And I've watched Landon especially because he was there at the height of the driver development deal until the economy tanked. And then he had to revamp himself through the start and park efforts with TRG and Gunselman and guys like that, where he had to prove, and Finch, he had to prove he could drive, which he can. And, you know, congrats on his deal with Colleague this year. But really, if he can make it and guys like that can revamp themselves, it made me feel, okay, I can get this done.
Mm-hmm. So the second part of his question is, did you by chance work with Steve Grissom in the number 29? He's from my neck of the woods.
No, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting or working with Steve. He was a little bit, I was probably still a young age at that time when Steve was at his prime in what was Winston Cup at the time, or what's now the NASCAR Cup Series.
Gotcha.
So hopefully maybe one day I'll get to meet him at the track. Tons of questions of what it was like to drive that 29 car as a fan of it in the day, but not yet. So.
Gotcha.
All right, go ahead and say hey to some of our friends watching.
Gotcha. So we've got Random Epic watching. We've got Dickie Dennis. And let's see here. It's Philip Riot, Leland Johnson. And I think I saw Dargan. Yeah, Dargan Watts is on here. So far, that's who we've got tuned in.
Yeah, Dargan was asking the question on the Facebook page if we wanted to watch, would they just click the live? But yeah, normally you would click the live.
Normally you can.
But not tonight.
When it's not malfunctioning.
Yeah, but the good thing is you can always go on YouTube, and that's kind of why we try to direct people to watch it on YouTube anyway.
Yeah, it's easier for me to watch the comments on YouTube.
Yeah, she has that pulled up on the computer. But the other thing is we have more camera angles and things on there. I haven't done the deal yet where I can have the StreamYard is what I'll use for streaming on all the other things and having the different camera angles. But I do have it on YouTube. So
nice.
And of course you can listen on the radio at 92.9 FM, 550 AM. And then if you don't have access to the radio and you're at a signal, you're driving down the road, you can either have it on YouTube or you can have it on TuneIn app.
TuneIn.
Yep. And cool. Watch it there. Listen to it there. And then and my podcast is the Hamm I Am podcast. And those typically we'll put those on about 3 shows a month or so. But they're on all the different platforms. So you're kind of like an IT guy, right?
I do IT for my normal 9 to 5 during the week.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a little bit of system administration. Currently, I do a computer system analyst where I really work one-on-one with the users and help them with issues that come up throughout the day, do software installs and make sure machines are imaged correctly, get to the right source that are imaged, and just a lot of the day-to-day operations, handle inventory of the assets. That's a little bit of what I can get into with it. The rest I can't really discuss. So
I got you. Yeah, it's top secret stuff. I like top secret. We can talk about it after the show.
I just can't end up on double secret probation. So
No,
I understand. Well, good. If I ever need you, Darin Watts he does a lot of NASCAR historian stuff. I mean, he's the one, if you ever see him on Facebook, he's got all these different Facebook pages and so many pictures. And I say so many, like more than I've ever seen in my life. That's how I met him. I sent him a message. I saw his pictures on his Facebook groups and pages, and I thought it was just so amazing. So he was down there. He was one of the organizers for the parade that we were in last Saturday. Not this past Saturday, the one before. Went down and rode
before Valentine's.
We rode on the original 4.1 mile sand road course, in the historic North Turn location there where the restaurant is. Have you been to that restaurant?
I have not. I've had some people tell me about it. I've heard it's they said you got to go if you want to learn the history of the Daytona road course pre super speedway era. They said you need to go, you need to see it, you need to understand it, and they said the food is excellent. So.
And there's all kind of monuments and stuff down there, placards and all kind of things that you can read more history.
Yeah, I love the history of the sport. I mean, obviously you've heard me ramble on thus far about various parts of the sport.
That's good, though. You got it.
Yeah, it's kind of, everybody kind of calls me the Rain Man of racing.
That one there, too?
Yeah, it's actually, it helped me because in 2009, I actually got to be on the NASCAR Smarts when it was on Speed Channel at Richmond during the May event. So that was kind of cool to get to meet Rutledge and John Roberts. And I was teamed with Kyle Petty for that episode. So it was pretty cool. But I love learning about it. I do a lot of quizzes and stuff during my off time, just rainy days when you can't get outside and do whatnot. But I love the sport. I'm a big student of it. I like to learn about it. I want to understand it. I mean, I want to really understand and help educate people where it came from and just share that passion with fans and followers alike.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've got an idea.
Very good.
So he can help out our friend Scott Trevison, who lives down in Florida, with his next game that he's going to create, because he created first NASCAR game.
Ironically, it's funny you mentioned that. I have a buddy of mine who said, we were in a hotel working an instructing event a couple years ago, and he said, you need to find your niche. You need to find something that's you to make you stand out as you're coming up through the ranks. And I said, okay. And he said, well, your knowledge of the sport is something that always impresses me. We started working together during the Richard Petty experience. He was a mechanic and a driving instructor, and I was coming on as a driving instructor. He was kind of a mentor. He still is. He actually lives in Winston-Salem and does a lot of theater.
Okay.
Kyle Wisner is his name. Great guy, really good friend of mine. He's taught me a lot outside of the sport too. But Kyle actually said you need to do the trivia side of it. So actually, I've been coming up with questions, and I have a document on my computer at home coming up with questions, and I wanted to look at creating a trivia app to give to people and really show what it's about, and not just your basic, who won this, or I want to go into, okay, who did the length of this? I mean, one of the questions I did was about the Indy test in '92 when they were coming to the Brickyard. Who was at the test? Questions about that, and some of the other things I've done are situations and the silly season aspect. Who went to this car? Or who did this car? Why did this lead to this? And I mean, I'd love to get involved with something like that because it's something that's passionate for me, and it would help me pass that along to future generations.
I've got one that you can put in there.
What's that?
How many Jackmen have missed the stop?
Yeah. It wouldn't be me though. Wait a minute, I did miss it one time.
You did miss the stop.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, but it didn't.
Sandblasted Kyle.
But it never fell off the stop, which is good, right? I never had that happen.
There you go.
And I never completely missed it to where the car didn't go up. I just had it. I was this side of the stop, so I started jacking the sheet metal, and then all of a sudden it went clunk, and it caught the roll bar.
There you go.
So then I just jacked it up the rest of the way.
I just have to give him heck whenever I can.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, of course. She's good for that.
The one sitting next to me, we're on the road traveling, doing our thing, trying to develop our program. I catch so much grief. So I get it. It's just one of those situations
it's just
where
to keep you on your toes.
Absolutely, but it's fun, and if you're not picking on each other and giving each other heck, you're not doing it right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
it.
You're not having fun with it.
Right. You gotta have
well,
fun.
so then after the race, Kyle gets out. It's at Darlington, and he sits against a pit wall, and he's got rags on him, and he's just like he's been sandblasted. But it turns out, years later, I found out my buddy John Dodson was on here with me, and he was telling me, he used to do a lot of the welding, and he welded the exhaust manifolds together, the pipes, and the tailpipes, and so they were coming apart. We had issues with that. They were cracking and such. So that was probably why it wasn't Kyle getting sandblasted. But he hasn't never told me that, no, that wasn't it. Kyle never told me the real story. Because I just say, hey, man, I'm sorry about that time. Remember that time at Darlington? And he's like, yeah, I remember that. It's all good. It's all good.
Was that the same weekend that he was on TV saying, I hate this place. They need to fill it with water and have bass fishing tournaments? Yeah. Was that the same weekend?
Yes, that was.
Okay.
And he also, the next weekend, he said the same thing about Bristol.
I did when I first heard that. I wasn't sure because I mean they had him they panned so close on him because they were interviewing him and you can tell he was PO'd about something.
Oh yeah.
So and I wasn't sure if it was because when he said it I'm like that's got to either be Bristol, but then I'm looking around in the background I'm thinking that looks like Darlington.
Yeah, he did.
So.
He said it at Darlington.
Okay.
He did it both. Because I remember it very distinctly.
Yeah, David was his jackman as well.
I do have a funny story about Kyle mentioning that now, if you don't mind me telling it.
Of course not.
So during the taping of that NASCAR Smart show in 2009, they joke about the Rain Man deal with me with the trivia. One of the questions on the show was about Ricky Rudd in '84 when he had the wreck in the shootout, or what was the clash at the time.
Yeah.
And he was in Bud Moore's 15, and the ground sky deal.
Yes.
And I got the answer right, and I knew it, and I was all amped up because I'm nervous on the show. I was amped up, but I knew the answer to the question, and they gave you the option if you wanted the multiple choice or if you just wanted to go for it for more points, and I went for it, and I was right there, and Kyle looked at me. They all looked at me, but Kyle looked at me, just went back in the chair because I was 19 at the time. He couldn't believe that I got this question.
Yeah.
And so they go and they break and they're doing the taping, and he makes this comment. He's like, I have motorcycle tires older than you. How in the heck do you know this question? And
the internet.
Yeah, exactly. But it was funny with that. So it's just something that's really resonated with me, and it helped get me through some times in my past and my personal life as I was growing up where I dealt with a lot of things but racing was what drove me and helped keep me motivated. So it was kind of cool. And I never forgot that. So hopefully if Kyle is listening, he probably remembers, yes, that is the absolutely crazy kid from Richmond. He needs help.
David can send you the link and say you need to watch this kid.
If you go on my YouTube page, Lockrow Racing, I have the episodes. A close friend of mine at home actually got the footage, and we credited it, of course, with Speed doing the footage, but it's on there if anybody wants to go see it along with some other racing footage. So
Yeah, you need to tell how everybody can get in touch with you.
We have all kinds of social media. We've if anybody has a LinkedIn, we have it posted. We have a QR code. We just started doing this about a month ago. You can go and scan that, and it'll give you my website, my Facebook page, YouTube link. We just recently jumped onto TikTok, Instagram, and other social media, LinkedIn, and I also stream a lot of my iRacing and sim racing on Twitch, just showing some of the training I do for tracks that I've either never been to or need to find a track that's comparable to a place I'm getting ready to go to, just as a preparation tool. So it helps me get up to speed on the weekends.
All right, I'm going to ask you about Twitch in just a minute, but I did want to comment on that, the race you were talking about, Ricky Rudd because I saw that picture where he had his eyelids, he had black eyes, and he had Band-Aids holding his eyes open, basically. And I was like, I wonder if Ricky's seen this. So I sent it to him. I texted it to him, and then he texted me back and said, I remember that and the pain that went with it. That was his quote for that picture.
And the incredible part was he raced with that. I think he finished top 10 at Daytona in the 500 that next week, and then won at Richmond a week later. I mean, it's nuts to think that. And he's a tough dude. I mean, Rooster was tough.
Yeah, that's right, Rooster. He's actually called into the show before. I had Cliff Champion on.
Wow.
And so I had set it up to where I texted Ricky earlier in the day and said, hey, would you want to call in whenever Cliff Champion's on? So he's like, sure, I will. And so, yeah, that was cool. Talking to him and hearing about the Rooster and all these different things. Always good to talk to him. And the old stories are priceless. You know, he was tough. He was tough. Like, and Earnhardt was tough, you know. Another one like him or not. I mean, back in the day.
Oh, they were.
He was like, you know, if you were a Jeff Gordon fan, you most likely weren't a Dale Earnhardt fan. It was like you know, they respected each other. Well, Earnhardt earned respect for Gordon, you know, because at first he was like pick at him and that kind of thing. That's a cool story, though, all that.
Yeah, well, like Evernham said with Gordon and Earnhardt, it was kind of like the sheepdog and the coyote. Like Ray said in an interview one time, he said, you know, they would go onto the track and knock the snot out of each other, and then they'd go out at the end of the day off track and go do business deals together. I mean, they knew that rivalry one was successful, but Earnhardt knew we can brand this, we can make this something, we can. And this was in the time when the sport was really going Main Street, so it really helped grow NASCAR in the 90s.
Yeah, definitely did. Yeah, that was the time. I'm glad I was around in that era. I see a lot of my friends that were around before, and now I get to hear their stories, you know, Mike Hill and Eddie Yunt and some of these guys, Larry Pollard, and the ones that were around before I got into it. And of course, Will Cronkite, you know, another great one. And I just love the history and eating it up. And it sounds like you're on that same track too. So, So how far away from here do you live?
I live about 6 hours from the Statesville, Mooresville area.
Okay.
I'm up in the southern Maryland area. I'm about an hour and change south of Washington, D.C., born and raised in the area, still live there at this time. So it's hoping to maybe get out of there at some point and move south, but I need to, obviously, unless racing all of a sudden blows up and takes off, I have to support myself, have to have a means of living in society, of course. So I'll probably stay there at least until I find something, a job that supports me and what I've got going on. So
I got you. Okay. So what's the fast track? I mean, you're wearing a fast track shirt. Do you have some work with him?
Yeah, actually, I'm actually a driver for Andy Hillenberg's fast track racing team. I also do some spotting for Andy when I'm not in the car, and help out a lot. Tanya helps out a lot with Andy's drivers doing PR and just helping get the guys to meetings or whatever obligations they may have at the speedway. So I made my ARCA debut in October at Kansas for Andy in a 5th entry. Unfortunately, we didn't make the finish due to a motor issue, but I learned a lot. It was an incredible experience, and we're hoping to maybe do 6 to 8 this year with Andy, and then we're hoping to maybe do a couple truck races with a few teams. We're also in the process of helping rebuild Ted Minor Motorsports out of Texas, so we're hoping later in the season we can kind of get that program rolling as well.
Okay. I met Andy a few times, and he ended up buying Darlington, wasn't it? Rockingham. Why do I say Darlington? Anyway, yes, he ended up getting that track, and I guess that didn't end up working out. But anyway, maybe he'll get on the show one of these days too.
You should definitely have Andy on the show. The stories, and if you want to get Andy on the show, get him and one of his drivers and crew chief, Dick Doheny, on the show. The stories that they could tell, your viewers and folks will be entertained for hours.
Yeah. All right. Well, tell him about us.
Absolutely.
In case he hasn't heard. We had Andy Belmont called in a couple weeks ago. He actually sent me a text, and he's like, hey, and I said, wait a minute. He said, tell him, gosh, who did I have on? He said, tell him I said, hey, and I said, well, heck, do you want to call? So he called in, and so that was cool getting to hear from him. It was, it was Grant Enfinger. All right, anyway. All right. So back to Kyle Lockrow.
Call in, so it's hard for me to keep track of which week.
Yeah. So all right. Speaking of, let's go ahead and take a quick break, our last break of the evening, and then we'll just finish up the show afterwards. So we'll be back to Racing Roots with Hamm, and we got Kyle Lockrow on with us this evening. So stay tuned.
550 and 92.9 WAME Statesville.
Hello, I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Ron Malero.
And we're the Fairtax Guys.
And we're back to Racing Roots with Hamm right here on 550 AM, 92.9 FM, and DHAM on YouTube. So if you want to see us here live in the Randy Marion studio, go over to DHAM on YouTube, and you can see us, and you can go back and you can ask questions. And if you catch this show after the show, you can always go back and comment, ask questions, and I'll make sure that Kyle gets the answer to that, or Tracy, or anybody that's listening. We'll
Jim Dooley does say, be sure and wish Jeannie Wayne Pugsley a belated happy birthday yesterday with Jay-Z Cape Yachts.
That's right, Janine.
Can't even talk.
Yes, Janine had a birthday. So I told her happy birthday on the Facebooks.
Happy birthday, Janine.
Yep, she owns the Jersey Cape Yachts, so she's up y'all's way.
Okay.
I guess. How far is Jersey from you?
To the state line from where I'm at, about 3 hours and change.
Okay.
That's about the distance from us to the beach.
If traffic is good.
Yeah.
A little bit shorter.
Wait a minute. Say that again, Tracy. The distance.
That's about the distance it would take us to get to the beach, just a little longer.
To the beach, yes. Okay. As I say, she is geographically challenged a little bit, but
I'm all kinds of challenged. Just go ahead and tell the truth.
But I thought she was trying to say that's how long it would take us to get there, but no. Okay. I apologize.
We couldn't have planned.
You're right.
I'm not testifying in court, guys. I'm not testifying. I didn't hear or see anything.
It's all recorded. We got evidence.
You got too many other top secret things, so you're pretty good at keeping secrets, apparently.
I try.
We'll try to squeeze some of that out of you, but anyway, after the show.
But
all right.
Philip Riot does have a question. He said, what would be his dream to race for? What owner?
Ooh. Obviously, with being a Gordon fan as a kid, I would love to drive for Rick Hendrick. I mean, Rick has such history and just a prominent organization in the sport, and he's very respected by so many people. I mean, he's done so much for a lot of people. I mean, the fact that Earnhardt drove his first car that he co-owned in '83, I guess, for that Busch win at Charlotte. I mean, from there on up. So Hendrick would be ideal. And then I'd say in the Xfinity series, it'd probably be Junior Motorsports. Kind of like to take after the Landon Castle and a lot of guys that have come up through Junior's program. And essentially that's a Hendrick Light program. So
Good answers.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I thought that Junior Motorsports was going to get him a win Saturday, it looked like, during that race. But anyway, that didn't work out. But it doesn't matter because, you know what, on Sunday the Fords won, and that's kind of who I typically pull for, my old teammates, my old friends. So.
Yeah, they were strong Sunday. I mean, they definitely were up there. You could tell they were all working together well.
Yeah. One of the best cars, though, and we had a lot of success with them over the years, was the 22 car. Sorry, my phone. Oh, guess who's calling me? I'm going to call him back. Actually, he didn't call this number.
Did you give him the wrong
I
number?
told him.
Harvey.
I sent it right to
Anyway.
him. I said your presence is requested.
Yeah.
Call this number, please.
Yes. Oh, but what I was saying was the Xfinity car, the 22 car, that discount tire, the car that won a lot of races, with Brad and Joey, and then Austin Cendric. But I don't know what they're going to do this year.
Blaney got a few wins in that car too, right?
Yeah, he did.
And then Kligerman drove it a few when he was under Penske.
Yep, Porter did. They've always had a lot of good success out of that car. And speaking of success, we have got Kyle Harvey Sr. on the phone with us. Do we call a senior or no?
That's fine.
Do we have to
Call me Pop.
Call you Pop, that's right. We don't have to distinguish you between your junior there that we saw last night.
Absolutely.
They're one and the same. Yeah, so we got Kyle Harvey on the phone with us this evening. How are you doing, Kyle? Did you get rested up today?
I did. I caught up a little bit on that, and feeling a little more spry now, and I'm ready to go tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Where are you going tomorrow? Go back to work.
Just need to get some more work done around the house here and stuff. And get caught up on. I was gone for 5 days down in Daytona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that wears on you, don't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you get old and cranky like me.
The old crotchety thing. Hey, but at least it's not like it used to be. The speed weeks, 2 weeks from home.
I think one time when we were down there, when we were at Sadco, we were down there for 18 days. It seems like to me for some reason.
Yeah, probably so. Because gosh, you actually had to go down there. You had to do your test, come back, send the engines back, and we had to turn them around. There's times where I stayed in a hotel just because I knew might as well because we're going to be right back here because you had to hurry up and turn them around really quick. So
back in the day down there when we were there, we had practice motor, qualifying motor. We had 3 or 4 motors, and then we would put one of the motors back in for final practice, and then put the race motor in.
Mm-hmm.
We did all that all the time down there in this week, in that short period of time. But even places that we'd go to back in the day with like Martinsville stuff. We had a practice motor, a qualifying motor, and a race motor. Back then, you built them all.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we did. That was a busy time. I want to say hey right quick to Will Cronkrite's tuned in. Hey there, Mr. Will. So we're talking to Kyle Harvey Sr. And I'm kind of that part of the racing I don't really miss, the whole having to turn the engine around. It's got to be done in 24 hours or something, But so they did some improvements on that. You go, but and also they started giving the crew guys a lot of times you get Mondays off. Is that what you get, Kyle?
That's what we used to get. And if you came in later than that, you got all of Monday, and then you have to come in till noon on Tuesday sometimes. Yeah. But even back then, remember, we left on Wednesday.
Right. Yeah. True. Yeah. So tell us about what you did while you were down there.
Well, I was lined up to do a couple of things, and then I ended up having a truck team ask me to help them out. And unfortunately, the truck team wrecked on their third lap of practice and wrecked the truck pretty good. Did not have a backup truck, and so I didn't do the truck series then, other than that short little practice. And then I had the ARCA car lined up with Empire Racing and Sean Core, and that was really a special treat for me. We got to do a tribute to Bob Keselowski, who recently just passed, and we had a pretty good little hot rod, and we pulled off a 4th place finish. Maybe we could have done a little better with maybe a little better spotter, but we pulled up.
With your little better spotter, I just got it.
Yeah. We pulled off the 4th place finish, and then Bobby Dotter had 2 cars down there, and the 8 car did not make it. So that was it for my weekend, and I come home Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, while we got you on the phone, we want to hear a story. We want to hear a couple stories, actually, if you don't mind. Well, you're going to tell some about Kyle before we get off the phone, if you don't mind. But but since you've been around racing so long, I know you got some good ones. Gosh,
it's hard, where do you start? I got some pretty good stories with Keith Simmons, but I don't know if I can tell them on this here.
Yeah, those are Sterling. That's usually what we get whenever somebody brings up Sterling Marlin.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
well, I mean, I hung with Dick Trickle for how many years too? So I mean, it's about the same way there, you know.
Yeah.
He was a good friend, like a big brother to me. Very good mentor for me. Very, guided me on a lot of things in life and racing, But we were at Daytona, and in the Xfinity, in the Schneider car, and they were wrecking near about halfway through. They were wrecking, getting into 3, and I'm hollering at them to get in the middle, get in the middle, get in the middle, and we made it through the wreck, but going home to the hotel because he had to run the next day for Junior Donlevy. He says to me, he hits me in the shoulder. He always had me drive, and we're heading back to the motel, and he hits me in the shoulder, and he says, yelling at me and screaming at me to get in the middle, don't do nothing. He says, how the hell am I supposed to see where the middle is? I can't see the hood. So we got back to the hotel, and he took a pillow, and we were trying to come up with something, and he says pretend the pillow is the steering wheel, and and it'll be a clock in 5-minute intervals all the way around. He said, and from now on, you can tell me left hand down, or right hand down, and however many times you say that and how fast you say that, I'm just going to go in 5-minute intervals till you tell me to stop or don't say it anymore. Well, sure enough, a couple of weeks later, when we go to Talladega after the Daytona, we go to Talladega. We're starting the race. We didn't qualify good. We just didn't have a good setup, and we're running near the back. And on the second lap, they pile drive, and literally they took 23 cars out in this wreck. And he goes bombing down in there, and we had an in-car camera. And he says, and I says to him, left hand down, down, hold it, right hand down. And we pop through the smoke on the other side and come out. And after the race, Benny Parsons come up to me, and he said, I got a VHS tape for you. You got to go home and listen to it careful. And what it was he had told the audience to watch the steering wheel and listen to the spotter because we had the in-car camera. And then when we busted through that smoke and came out the other side, he said, folks, I'm telling you, he was driving it from the roof. The spotter was driving that car remote control.
Man.
You could see him every time I'd say that. He'd just do that 5-minute notch, little notch. And we got through. I mean, a lot of that, yourself, Dave, it's a lot of luck because you're going so fast and you can't see things. But every once in a while, you get a good one. You get through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That's like you hear them say, go towards the wreck because by the time you get there, it's not going to be there.
Right, yeah. You can't count on that. It's a lot of times you can, but not every time.
I've asked that, too, from different drivers, and they're like, well, you can't always count on that. It's probably just from the movie Days of Thunder, most likely.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a little bit of truth in it for sure because, especially them super speedways, right. Anybody listening, they're self-cleaning. The cars want to go from the top to the bottom. So if they're wrecking up at top and you aim for it, by the time you get there, they're gone. It's cleared up.
Yeah, gravity is your friend in that case.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Tracy? What do you think about that?
Well, I'm guessing it depends on how close you are to where the wreck happens.
Yeah. Okay. That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, outsider perspective.
Yeah.
There you go. So what did you and Kyle talk about tonight yet?
Oh, we talked about you a little bit. And so, something about you were losing your voice and all that kind of stuff, talking to yourself too much, driving back.
Maybe I don't know, maybe it wasn't from spotting. Maybe I was singing too much coming back riding home.
That could be.
In the car.
Yeah. I wonder if anybody's got a VHS tape of that.
The life of a spotter on the ride to and from the track.
Yeah, that's what you need, Kyle. You need a TikTok, and you need to start recording these little sessions. Life of a spotter, right here. That's
or
your,
do it as you're weaving through traffic on 77. Okay, left, right, right. Check it up.
Yeah, clear.
One of those dash cams.
Exactly.
Clear.
Actually, Lloyd does that every once in a while. He'll record coming home from some race, and it's pitch black, dark out, and he's singing away, and all you see is the dotted line and the darkness in the headlights.
Tracy, what was the comment that Will Cronkite said?
He just said, "Watch out with the crotchety stuff."
Well, no, down the list there, he said, "I've spent some time with."
Sean Core, fine young man, builds and repairs school buses.
Oh, no kidding! I didn't know that about Will.
That's what he's been recently doing, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they've been building some like hot rod school buses that plow snow. So maybe that's what he's talking about working on, you know?
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe they're the ones that are going to jump the school buses. I mean, jump not the school bus that jumps at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
There you go.
Like old Humpy Will used to have set up, you know. I was trying to remember the guy's name now. We had Harold Johnson on here, and he was trying to remember the guy's name, too.
Yeah.
And then we had a comment from one of our listeners that said what the guy's name was. He's like, that's right, I used to call him.
Something else.
He had a funny name for him.
He
talked
always
about
made
it on
nicknames.
TV. Yeah.
Crash something was his name, but I don't know his name, but Crash something.
Yeah.
And he would get out and stand on top of the car after the wheels would still be spinning, and he'd climb out and get up on top of the car.
Yes. Another fail. But he was proud of it.
Yeah.
But he made a big
15
splash.
minutes of fame.
The evil Knievel of school buses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Remember one time they had him jump over a bunch of cars, and he landed in cardboard boxes. And I didn't know if that was a good idea or not, but it was really, it went well, it worked well. The crowd liked it.
Didn't he try it one time at Bristol, but it didn't work or something because it was
didn't have enough time?
No,
he did, yeah. Couldn't get going enough.
Yeah, I guess so. That makes sense. I mean, really. Gosh. I always see him go out on a banking at Bristol and then the bus just go fall over on its side. That's it.
Bloopers.
Will's got it. The Greek. Jimmy the Greek. Was it Jimmy the Greek? That was whatever.
When I was a younger version of myself, we were at Bristol for an ASA race back in the day, and somebody had a little 24-inch bike, like a Schwinn Stingray, and I bet him I could ride up the banking. Yeah. And a bunch of guys got together and threw $1 in here and $1 there. And what I did is I tricked them because I ran at the top of the racetrack and then ran down the banking and turned and pedaled, and I got all the way to the top, and the thing came out from under me, but I made it to the top. Oh. I made myself about $6, I think, for doing it.
It is worth every dollar, right?
Just to get their money, yes, sir.
Yes. That was a Flying Greek. Will said the Flying Greek. And Harold Johnson, he says he used to call him the Flying Geek.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That's good stuff. Yeah. All right, Kyle, do you have any stories about Kyle?
My son?
Yeah. Well, him too. I mean, where's all these Kyle? We're talking about Kyle Petty.
Oh, the other Kyle. No, I have known this, but your Kyle sitting there. I have known him real long, so I don't have, it seems like a nice young man. He's willing to learn, willing to listen, and he's going to go places, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
With an attitude like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The only one I can think about my son was we were racing at Milwaukee one time, and we were coming back from Milwaukee, and I think he was like 14 or 15, and I was tired, and a friend of mine was sitting in the back. Me and him were sitting in the back seat of my Suburban. We had the trailer on the back, and his son was in the passenger seat, and Kyle was driving. He drove home from a lot of races because of maybe a couple of too many adult beverages afterwards in the payoff line. And we're on the Illinois toll road coming back from Milwaukee, and he goes, Dad. And I said, what? He says, what do I do when I get to the toll plaza? And I said, just pay it. You know, and they ain't going to arrest you for driving. They don't care how old you are. Just pay the toll, you know.
Yeah.
That was pretty good, you know, a lot of fun and to do that. So, boy, you couldn't do that stuff nowadays.
Oh, no.
Was he sitting on a pillow?
No, but he'd scoot up and sit on the front edge of the seat, I can tell you that. He'd be all hunched over the steering wheel.
Oh, my goodness. I remember driving at 14, too.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, you think back, you know, not too many years ago like that. It wasn't not accepted but not unaccepted, if you understand what I'm saying.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Well, we had a great big metal car, so it was pretty safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Kyle is in a group called Preppin' Borium. Is that right?
Preppin' Barium.
That's it.
It's
I wasn't making reference to anything because he's definitely far from boring. I'm just saying. Gosh. Yeah. It's always, I don't know. It's heavy metal would be the right thing to say.
I think so. They tend to be more like, on the order of Metallica.
Yeah.
They do all their own music. They're covering some cover songs now just to be a little more flexible for the crowd,
Mm-hmm.
But they almost everything you heard last night, that's all their stuff, and Matt Talley writes everything, and they work hard. I got to give them credit. They work hard,
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying hard to make it, and they got the want. If they just get a break, they're like anybody else. Just like in racing, you just got to get that one break, and they could make it.
Right.
Right place, right time.
Yeah.
Will Cronkite has a question for him, I think.
Okay.
He says, I see Kyle drive some champ cars, open wheel, dirt, question marks.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, no, I was saying if the Champ Car stuff, Will, that you're referring to, it's the play on the old Champ Car, what was card at the time, but it's an endurance road race series. Actually, a lot of the crew guys in NASCAR tend to go and do it on the weekends that they have off. Because when we go to VIR in Charlotte, the Roval, a lot of those guys are Carolina Motorsports and Kershaw. They tend to go do those events. It's an amateur road course series. It's an amateur version of IMSA. And essentially, it's a classification of the cars, A, B, C, D, and E, C. And it's over an amount of time, just like IMSA. And then they have the class winners and your overall winners. And ironically, it's actually what helped me get better on the oval. So that's a lot of what you're seeing. I did it a couple weeks ago at Road Atlanta. I'll be doing it in a week from Saturday at VIR on the South Course. So it's what I use a lot of times when I'm not doing the stock car stuff.
Nice.
Okay, very good. That sounds like a lot of fun. It looks like it would be fun.
Honestly, with the stress of the other stuff and trying to really pave your way, and kind of like what Kyle was saying with his son with the band, how you're looking for that break, the Champ Car Series is a way to get seat time. It's an inexpensive way to do it, but it's also a way to run some places that you do in the bigger stuff, but it's less stressful.
Okay. And he asks, is it open wheel cars?
No, it's closed body cars. It's old BMWs, Porsches. Well, I mean, honestly, it's anybody. I mean, there's guys that take Civics, and we've seen Crown Vics and S10s, Miata. A lot of Miata guys that do it. I mean, they take most any car, and as long as you're within the rule book, you're good.
Okay. Very good.
Kyle, that long straightaway getting into turn one at VIR, I don't care what you're driving. It takes a little bit of nerve to get down in there at speed. I can tell you that.
I've had a couple of close calls and a couple cars there. Locked the brakes up, missed a shift getting in there. Yeah, definitely if you're in a quick car there and you do it wrong, you're going for a ride.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Kyle, I'm not going to hold you much longer, but I'm going to ask you one more question.
Sure.
What's two questions? Is Kyle Lockrow, is he a good IT guy?
In about half an hour, my computer's been down for 2 years, and he come over, and he's got it where it's a better picture, it's cleaner and nicer and brighter colors. It's working great, and he's got my wireless printer working back again with it, and that's been down for 2 years.
Oh my!
Oh, okay, good, very good.
And I'm telling you, he clickety-clicked and had stuff open and closed and punching on stuff, and I mean it was, and just done a good job and fast. I couldn't get over how fast he did it. You know,
I need him at my job.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I could help you, Kyle. I'm glad it's working, and just like I've told you before, if you need anything, you know where I'm at. Reach out.
Absolutely, thank you. Hey, Dave, I'll tell you. You asked me to tell you some stories. I thought of a good Danica Patrick story.
Yeah.
That I can share.
All right.
When we were at Montreal, it was really extremely hot when we were up there that year, and that was also the year she was running really well in the car there and ran over the shoe, if people remember that. Somebody threw a shoe out on the track, and we ran over it. But she was running up front, and so the camera was on us quite a bit. And she started to whine and cry a little bit and complain about the heat and the heat and the heat. She just kept going on and on. So I was in turn one, and she came down into turn one, and I said, Danica, and she said, yeah, Kyle. I said, we got a job to do today. You got to concentrate on what we have to do and forget about the heat. You're driving these big old heavy cars. You're not in open wheel cars anymore, and it's just going to get hotter and all along and today. So we need to concentrate on our job at hand. Well, she didn't say a word, and we were still new together, so I didn't know if she was upset with me or thinking or concentrating on racing.
Or passed out.
Yeah.
From the heat, yeah. Excuse me. And we went about 2 laps, and she come bombing into turn one there, and she goes, Kyle. And I said, yeah, Danica. She said, you're 100% right. She says, we have a job to do here today, and I'm going to take your advice, and I'm going to do it and concentrate on what I need to do. She said, but I'm going to tell you one thing. It's so hot, I'd pay somebody to blow up my skirt.
Yes.
So, Tony Uri Jr. comes on the radio and says, Danica, don't say that anymore. They're lining up down here.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. If you saw her, she was on Letterman one time. It was kind of interesting interview, too, but I'm not going to talk about that. But just go watch it. Search it on YouTube. Yeah, she's pretty much an open book. Yeah.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Yes, she is. I had a lot of fun with her. We got along really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
People always inquire on me and ask if she was hard to get along with, and as far as I was concerned, no, she was very, very open-minded and listened and very receptive to input.
Yeah, that's cool. She came by the engine shop one time, and we had to go to the break room, at RoushYates, and go up there and meet Danica Patrick, and listen to some of her stories and that kind of stuff. And then we go back to work, and I'm at the install building engines. And then she comes up looking through the window and just kind of keeps on looking. I can't remember that Jeremy was in the same room, I think. It was pretty interesting, if you could imagine her walking through the shop and the guy stopping to look, and wave to her.
I think
and
Jeremy
all that
was
good
in
stuff.
the window, wasn't he, at that time?
I think it was at the time. And I was in the next stall over.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah. I just remember it seeing right through there. Anyway, that's that.
Making sure y'all were working on things properly.
Yeah. She's a nice one. I thought you was going to say you had to dump in a cooler of ice water on her or something to cool her down, but which is going to turn hot in the end. It's going to turn into boiling water.
Yeah.
I've heard of people doing that. Put ice packs in there and whatever, or they soak themselves down with water, and it's nice and cool at first, but
and then it backfires about 30 laps later.
Yeah, and then
they get
a rash.
They get their private steam like a bunch of oysters or something,
Steamed oysters, yes. Oh my gosh, very good, Kyle. Hey, when are you gonna come in? You and your junior, y'all need to come on to the show.
Yeah, I'd love to do it with him too. On top of it, he's got some good old stories too.
Yeah.
We come in there and we'll do it one day for you.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate you calling me tonight, and y'all take care.
Yeah, you too, buddy. Thank you, Kyle.
Have a great night.
All
Kyle.
right, have a good evening, everybody.
You too.
Good night.
See you, bye. All right, very good. Kyle Harvey, senior. He hadn't always been a senior. I mean, not until Kyle Jr. was born.
Exactly.
So Kyle's been around. He's a little bit, he looks younger than he is, but he's probably 46 or something like that, I believe. And he's been around a long time. His handle is Love Gun.
Oh.
Yeah, he was a tire changer back in the day on a 42 car. Mm-hmm. And he drove around in if I'm not mistaken, it seemed like it was like an 87 Monte Carlo, something like that. And it had Love Gun on the front tag, and he had jack stops on the car where you could do a pit stop with it. You jack it up on the jack stop, whatever. He was pretty crazy, pretty wild man. So now he's with that band, which is another wild story, but they're pretty good actually. I think they're having a show Saturday or sometime. They're opening for a Van Halen tribute band, which is bound to be really good.
Oh, that's the bus I saw,
82.
right?
It must be.
That's the bus I saw.
It had like 82 on it. Wasn't that 1982 was their?
I'll have to look at the picture.
Yeah. Anyway.
But they were parked in the parking lot.
Random Epic Tim says it sounds like like Clevis McFarland's Freedom Factory. I guess he's talking about that racing. I'm not sure. Well, because it was back at the time when we were talking about the racing, whenever he brought that up.
The champ car? Is
yeah.
that what you're talking about? It's
champ cars.
No, honestly, there's some character to it. Honestly, the Cletus McFarland is more of the Lemons series that guys do. Cause I mean, those where they'll put, I mean, there's guys that have put crabs. There was a team from Baltimore. They'll put a crab on top of the car, and there's teams with all kinds of that. But I mean, it's a step above lemons, but it's a good amateur series that I've run. I mean, there's a lot of good character in it. I mean, the team that I drive for is called Brew Crew, and they're guys that after the race and everything, they like to kick back and have some craft beers. And a lot of the cars are lager and stout. Are the 86 and the 75 cars. So, I mean, they're good guys, a lot of people in the series. And the cool thing is it's a big family, kind of like the NASCAR deal, where they'll really help you if you have a problem or need a part. A lot of times you can go to a team and just they'll give it to you and let you get through the race. And, I mean, they'll go out there, they want to beat you on the racetrack, but, I mean, they'll do anything they can to help you. So it's a good – I recommend it to any young driver that's trying to get up and going, and if they're – really struggling on the oval stuff and they want a way to just get used to racing and racing head to head, I highly recommend Champ Car. You can do it as young as 16.
Okay. How about that? Do you ever do any of the, and you probably, well, you did mention this, you do Twitch, because we were going to talk about Twitch, and you do, is it iRacing or?
Yeah, I stream iRacing on there. Okay. So a lot of times I'll stream any races that I run, whether it's a sanctioned iRacing race, a league race, or a lot of times, a lot of folks and people that follow my progress want to know, well, with the practice being expensive, and especially with testing now being a thing of the past, really, in racing, unless it's like a Goodyear test or something like that. And with Champ Car, you really don't get practice a lot of times. So for me, iRacing is a way to show them how I get prepared. May not be the same exact car, but it's something that's comparable to what I'm going to drive, or something that still uses the H-pattern transmission on the sim. So I try to get myself as acclimated as possible to whatever track it is, or like I said, whatever track it's as close or prominent to, that layout.
Yeah. Okay. Because I mean, I really believe that stuff helps.
It does.
It helps a lot. And I have a friend, Chad Hyder, who usually either tunes in or he watches the next day, and he'll comment a lot of times. So go ahead and comment to Chad when you're watching this tomorrow. And he races in the Canadian series, but it's a iRacing. It's a PlayStation 4
Motorsports.
Yeah, Canadian Motorsports.
Yeah,
PlayStation 4 is what they do.
Okay,
but they have it live on Facebook.
Yeah, and you get to watch it.
So they do the NASCAR heat games. They stream that stuff on there, right?
Okay. Yeah, and it's pretty entertaining watching.
I've seen some clips of those. Those guys, I mean, they definitely get into it, and they've got team orders. I mean, it's a simulated version of the real deal.
Yeah, Chad's got the Racing Roots with Hamm Ford up there, racing every week. So yeah, that's a lot of fun to watch that, and watch my friends get on there and watch it too.
In his Mustang.
Yeah.
And that's another cool thing too with the extension of it. I mean, since the pandemic and when NASCAR did the sanctioned stuff, I guess you call it sanctioned, on iRacing while we were all shut down, that's something that we push to a lot of potential partners when we're going after sponsorship. Is not only can we do it on the real race car and all the activation at the track and everything that we can offer with our program, but we can go a step further and put their logo on a virtual car where you can get pictures of it, and I can run it throughout the week, a couple nights a week, or put it on a car I'm testing and show, look, we can put things on here and promote you. And it just goes a step further. We want to show we're out of that box. We're out of the box, and we do it different.
Right.
Well, and I could say and this is an idea for the future, because, they're always talking about these electric cars. And so whenever they get into doing the electric car stuff, and you could probably do some computer stuff in there and make your car a little bit faster. Do a little trick stuff in there.
I'm sure.
Just thinking.
All the technology and everything. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's essentially kind of like what Ilmore and some of the IndyCar guys do, where you just plug into the car. Eventually, you could plug in, for IT guy, you just plug it in, and you could put an upgraded operating system or put an update on the car that changes the schematics of what it does.
Yep, that's right. Do it during the race, too.
Yeah, kind of like the Formula E, where you stop and, well, the car's not doing this. Okay, well, we'll plug into the second car that you hop into, and we'll make this change. I mean, I guess in that relation.
Or, and now I'm just being funny. Now you could do it like, you ever seen Knight Rider?
Yes.
Kit. Talk to the car and have it make the changes itself. We won't tell anybody, though.
Or it could be like the old Budweiser commercial with Junior, where you just like the old CD player when he's at the old film where they filmed it at Homestead and he's banging on the CD player.
Yeah.
You could do that where you just push a button, and hopefully you don't have the in-car camera. You just push a button and it changes it.
Yes. You know, they used to have CD players in production cars for a little. No, it was a record player.
A record player.
A record player.
How do you have a record player in a car?
I'm not sure why I said CD players. Duh. Of course they did. Yeah. Record player. Yes. It was only produced in like I think it was in the late 50s, early 60s at the most, and they only did it for a little while because they decided that it wasn't really working out that great. You know, the needle wants to skip and all this stuff. But look it up. That's
we
another
had
thing.
8-tracks.
Well, 8-tracks, yes, of course.
I'll have to check that. I hadn't heard about that. So
how many tracks are on an 8-track?
Exactly.
Do you know?
It's misconceiving, actually.
It is disconceiving. So that's something else y'all can look up. So anyway, we're getting on to other subjects, but we try to educate people in other forms of things too. And we got a smart guy on with us this evening. So,
yeah, you just got to have a little laugh here and there.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's got to be fun. It's got to you got to have personality. You got to be fun. You got to show that it's not all business. You got to have the lighter side.
Yeah.
Show your personable side.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you didn't drive 6 hours to come on here and have a bad time and not have fun.
If I wanted to do that, I'd have gone into work. I'd have been bored now.
Yeah, that's it. All right, so if y'all have any questions, go ahead and throw them out here at us because we're getting low on time. Not saying we're going anywhere, but just go ahead if you have any, because I'm sure you have some. And so what's in
Epic says you got to have a kit scanner bar.
Oh, yeah, the bar across the.
But it's got to have. But it's got to have William Daniels' voice, or it's not accurate.
Oh yeah, that's a guy's name, William Daniel. Yeah, I forgot that.
Like Charlie's Angels. You got to have the voice.
Yeah, him too. But the light bar, there wasn't LEDs around back then, I don't believe. So I wonder what they were. Now there'll be LEDs that won't take up any power hardly at all.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? That might be something I could ask Kyle Wisner, because he actually lived out in California and worked in it. He might know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have to ask him and pick his brain and get back to you.
I wonder why that name sounds so familiar though, but should I know him anyway?
When he was with Petty, he was a mechanic and a driving instructor. He did a lot of the thrill rides because they had a contract. It was I shouldn't say Petty. It was like an extension of the Petty experience back in the day. They're still around today. I forget what it's called. It's like something driving experience.
Yeah.
I forget what it is.
I got you.
But they do a lot of the thrill rides at the Mecum shows and the Dodge thrill rides and the Vipers and all those kind of cars. Okay. He did that for a while. So maybe if you were at one of those or he's been around the sport, in and out of the sport for a while. So
yeah. I used to build engines for Fast Track whenever I was at Carl Wagner's out there on the Stavola Brothers building in Harrisburg. We did Fast Track engines for them. And then I think we did some for Andy Hillenberg when he drove some at RoushYates.
Okay.
Yeah. So Cratchity.
I was going to say, he has a question you might know the answer to.
Oh, yeah. I haven't heard anything about this. Well, I heard about the issue with the Penske, some of the wheels that they took.
I saw a picture of it. Everybody's been asking about that because then somebody said, hey, illegal wheels or something. I'm not really sure what that was about.
I'm not either. I haven't heard a word out of it. And so then they ended up winning the race. So that kind of makes you think, well, I guess it didn't make a difference if they took them or whatever. But yeah, I haven't heard. I'll look into that though. That was pretty interesting. I saw that. I think it was first thing yesterday morning when I got up. I saw that and I was like, oh, heck, here we go. Before Daytona, Yeah. So, all right. Well, so what's next for Mr. Kyle Lockrow?
Well, the biggest thing, honestly, it just kind of depends on the funding. That's been the biggest fight that we've had is getting the funding. And we've been trying to do everything possible to get the program off the ground. We've made so many strides in the last year and a half with the program, completely turned it around. But that's been the biggest hurdle is we just need somebody to take a chance on the program, get behind us, let us go, get up and do some ARCA races and do some truck stuff and continue to go up the ladder. And honestly, to get on that subject, I know that's a big thing a lot of guys fight, especially in my position, because I don't have the family money. Mom and dad can't just cut me a check and say, hey, go run 5 or 6 of these and get your feet wet and maybe somebody will come on board. I don't have that luxury.
Right.
We have been trying to figure it out. We've been in some really good discussions with some folks. We think we can finalize a few things here over the next month. It's just we're fighting it. But the biggest thing we're hearing is they're not happy with a current situation, or they don't like the state of what they're dealing with, and they want something more to clarify it. They want something more personable, and they want something different. But when we offer them something different and we show them the more personable, then they tend to re-up or re-sign with the, well, we already know what we're going to get. So that's been the most frustrating part about it. And that's what we're hearing from a lot of these potential partners is we know what we're going to get. We're just going to stick with it even though we're not happy with it, because we don't want to take a chance on what's different, or we don't want to take a chance on the old school mentality because it's, I guess, unproven. So the biggest thing we're going to do is we're going to fight like there's no tomorrow to make this deal happen. I'm going to do a Champ Car race at VIR South in about a week and a half. And then I'll be doing some Champ Car stuff at Daytona and some later in the season. But the goal is to try to make the ARCA race at Phoenix next month. If we don't do Phoenix, then maybe do Kansas and Charlotte, and then forward from there. Hopefully, if we can put it together, maybe do a truck race at Mid-Ohio, and then maybe do Gateway, and I'd like to do Richmond. But I have to get a race in the truck series, according to the officials, just to prove I'm not going to be a weapon out there. So hopefully we can make that happen. But our goal is to try to do a combination of ARCA and truck, and then also do the Champ Car stuff to keep stuff up there for me, just to keep my driving rolling and just get extra seat time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, very good. And that's one of the things when I was talking to Kyle yesterday evening a little bit, and he said, Kyle, he's got the determination. He's going to do it. He just, and
we're trying.
Wow,
I mean, that's
cool.
why I'm in the spotter stand. I mean, that's why I'm trying to do driver development. That's why I'm trying to help guys. I'm trying to do everything I can to stay active in the garage. I mean, I may not be able to make it every week unless we really get a sponsor. The West Coast races have to be planned out for me because I work full time. So I have to do it methodically. I've tried to methodically pave my career and spend the money and bounce around and do opportunities that I knew were going to benefit me to get me approved quicker, because I knew if I wasted it or I didn't do it correctly, it was going to hold me up, or that might back me up 3 to 6 months if I did it wrong or wrecked a car. So I've always had to have a conservative mindset, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it. I still feel the little guy has a spot in this sport and is going to make it, and I'm going to do everything I can. Thankfully, I've got the support of Fast Track Racing and Ted Miner Motorsports and some other, hopefully, teams we can work with. It's just we need some partners to take a chance on me, and I'm going to show you I'm different. I mean, when I was down in Daytona over the weekend, I wasn't even driving in the event, and all 3 days I was there, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I went in the infield, was shaking hands with folks, introducing myself to fans, meeting them, taking pictures with them, signing autographs, just talking about them with the state of the sport, just listening to them, getting to know them personally, giving that grassroots touch that has kind of, let's say, it's kind of lost its way in the sport with things recently. And that's kind of how I was at Stocks for Tots. I mean, I shook everybody's hand, introduced myself, and I try to personalize every autograph I can. If I have the time to do it, I want to know their name and who they are, because hopefully, yes, I meet a lot of people and have met a lot of people through this journey, but I want to try to remember these people and let them know that I'm just like they are. Yes, I'm getting to do this. I'm driving a race car. I'm involved in the sport, but I am no better than you. Right now, I go to work on Monday and Friday, and I do the same thing you do, and I understand the struggle that you have, and I appreciate the money you're spending on ticketing, merchandising, travel, hotel, food. I mean, anything it takes to be at the track. So
right.
I want to show that I care about that, and I want to bring that back.
Yeah. That's great. And I agree totally with that. It's kind of like me as far as, I do stuff on the radio, and I was working and asking all that stuff, but I never forget that I was a race fan, and I still am. But, as a kid, I was always the race fan first. That's my background. That's my roots. So for other people to be race fans as well, it's kind of like I have that bond with them. Automatically, they're my good friend because they like racing.
Absolutely. And like I told you guys before, I'll share the story really quick. I know we're short on time.
Oh, you're fine.
I mentioned about how I was a Jeff Gordon fan when I grew up, but Robbie Gordon is actually the one who really helped me remember, don't ever forget the fans, don't forget where you came from. Martinsville, April 2004. in the era where they would have 30, 40 souvenir trailers lined up in the midway amongst all the other sponsors that were, or partners, I should say, that were doing activation and doing fan engagement on the midway. When Robbie was his last year with Childress in the 31 singular wireless car, Robbie was signing. They didn't really have a line. A lot of people that might remember in that era, they would do either tickets or lines where you'd be lined up behind the truck. In this instance, I may have been a last minute deal. Robbie just kind of had a plethora of fans up there, and I was one of those with my father. And I went up and got Robbie's autograph, and I wanted to shake his hand and say thank you. And I held my hand out for about 2 or 3 minutes and just kind of realized, okay, he's pretty tied up. He's pretty busy. So I went to turn around, and we were off to go do things elsewhere on the property. And somebody had said, hey, kid, turn around. They're calling for you. And so I turn around, and I see Robbie standing there with a smile on his face and his hand extended. And that really resonated with me and made me realize, you know what? If he can take that time to shake the hand of, at the time, a 13-year-old kid and thank him for his time, then you know what? I need to be able to thank anybody, no matter their age and what they're doing, and thank them for their time. And from there, I became a Robbie Gordon fan, and I wanted to emulate that, where you thank people, you gave them the time of day, because their investment in the sport is what's helping you potentially make a living with this. And taking a little bit out of Richard Petty's book, where Richard took the time after races and personalized. I had nothing going on in the evenings in Daytona once my obligations at the track were done with Bryce's team. Mm-hmm. I needed to go spend time with the fans. I wanted to develop a fan base, but I wanted to get to know these people and also say, hey, welcome back to Daytona after 2 years of being away. Thank you for your investment. Thank you for your time. And I want you guys to know that I care about you, and we're here, and you're important to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. I spent some time with Robbie in Japan. He was our97, November of 96 when we went to Japan.
42.
Yeah, the 42, the Tonka car, is because he was going to be our driver for the next year, 97. So we took him to Japan. And so he and I went out one evening and went out to dinner and run around, played video games, that kind of stuff. And he was extremely good on the Daytona 500 game. And I figured out why, because he set the record. And I figured out why when I went to his house, and he had the game there in his house, in his game room, and he was very good at it. But yeah, so there's a few stories there, but it's always good to be around Robbie. He was a pretty fun guy to hang out with too. And so we had a question from Will Cronkite. Does Kyle have a Champ Car date for Kershaw?
June 24th through 26th, we should be there. It should be a 2-day event. I think we were there last year practicing a car on the Friday practice with another organization I worked with. And I think the race was an 8+7. So it's an 8-hour on Saturday, 7-hour on Sunday. Don't quote me on that, Will. If you reach out to myself or Tanya after the show, we'll get clarification for you. Yeah. But actually, if you go to my website, it should be on there under the date, under the Champ Car page, under the schedule. It should have clarification, but if not, we'll get you further.
Now, do you know Will Cronkite was the one that gave, Dale Earnhardt's very first competitive ride in 1978 was in Will Cronkite's car. So maybe he'll come up with a car for you and say, hey, yeah. You can find out more information on NASCARredneck.com. Absolutely. He's got his book on there. Okay. And so, man, he's got a plethora of stories. That's putting it lightly.
I'd love to meet him and hear him and talk with him and just hear about it. I'm sure he's been around for a long time.
I had him and my buddy Mike Hill on here at the same time, and they worked together in 1971 for the first time. And so, but they worked together. The picture I had on there was for them from 1974.
You might have been
with Cecil Gordon's car. I was born in 71. So, I was like, gosh, that was 50 years ago. They worked together, so, I mean, just the knowledge and all that stuff. Like I said, check out his book. And he says that you're a very well-spoken, and I predict a bright future.
Well, thank you. I greatly appreciate that. I want to make sure that I represent these companies well if they decide to get behind me, but also make sure I'm somebody that represents the sport well, because I want to help NASCAR grow, and I want to pass that on to generations to come.
Yeah, you got it. That sounds good. Jim Dooley's, I don't know how true this is, but he said Hamm is also staying active in the garage. He knows he will be called back one day. I thought about that the other day. I was like, what if I went back to...
Oh, Lord, I don't think you could do it.
Wait a minute. What do you mean you don't think?
I don't think you could do it.
There's the problem right there. I don't get any encouragement at home.
That's not true.
You know what?
I'm just saying you wouldn't be the same that you were
I have
then.
I have an idea.
Yes.
I think how they did at Bristol when they would do the late model race of the old timers and the retired drivers.
He could do it for the old timers.
They should. Well, no. They should. Here's my thing. They should do how they used to do the pit stop competition at Rockingham, the 76 pit deal. Yeah. They should do something for fun to show the history of the sport. Invite fans out, maybe do it at Charlotte or even at a short track. I mean, do it at Wilkesboro when they open that back up. Yeah. They should do a pit stop competition and bring back some of the guys and
I have said that.
And do that and just show them and show the history of how it's progressed. But let these guys do this on some of the newer cars just for fun.
Yeah.
And maybe have them go against the newer guys or something like it, just like a charity event.
Oh, now.
And we'll get Asper Cream
to
sponsor it.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, probably instead of
Osteoflex, right?
Yeah.
Osteoflex, there we go.
So instead of doing the new drivers, they need to get the fans to see if they could do it just the same.
Yeah.
New, younger fans are faster than older.
Yeah. Somebody's going to get hurt, though. Somebody's going to cut a thumb fingertip off or something, drop the jack on it. Yeah, that's okay. It happens. Or, drop the jack and then the tire changer's got his hand in there. I've not done that, but I'm saying I've heard of it and I've seen somewhat.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's a dangerous sport.
And Dickie Dennis says breaking news. I think that's what question mark.
But that would be, I just think personally, that would be really cool because that would show... obviously everybody knows what the drivers did in the sport, but it shows the behind the scenes. I mean, the guys that we talk about this being a team sport, this shows the guys that really help elevate you and would take you. If say you had a 7th place car and those guys get jacked up on pit road, and next thing you know, boom, you're out second and you got a shot to win the race. I mean, show what those guys did, and it also brings the history back, not only the drivers but guys that made it like Dave, who made it happen behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well,
I just like to pick on him.
And speaking of that, I mean, we used to come.
He'd need an ice bath for 2 days afterwards.
We would take our Cup crew guys back in the day and go do stops for Nemechek's push car because we won a lot of races with Nemechek, and he would always run so good. But I mean, if we were we happened to be in 15th place or whatever, and we come out first or something, it's like, man, that is so awesome doing a fast pit stop. And I mean, just all the time. It was the funnest thing ever going and doing that on the weekends and get paid $350.
Read Will's comment. Read Will's comment.
Will says we would have to have new knees and fingers. Yes. Oh my gosh. That's probably true.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could still do it.
Whatever. You could still
My back
do it.
Would probably give out
you would
more
just
than
be really
anything.
sore the next day. I'm
Yeah,
not saying you couldn't do it. I'm not saying that
That's
at
okay.
all. I'm just saying you would be moaning and groaning for a week afterwards.
But we'll get the right sponsors to do this, to where you guys are taken care of. The Osteo, the AARP.
Yeah.
We'll get the goodies, all that stuff.
We're actually old enough to qualify for the AARP. Maybe we need to go ahead and sign you up in advance.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Fine. Maybe we can get the government to sponsor Medicare or Medicaid or whatever it is. I don't know.
Hey, the Blue Cross was it Blue Cross Blue Shield was at the Speedway for a while with the healthcare stuff. We can get those guys.
Yes.
We need a zero gravity massage chair and everything.
Oh, all right, fine.
I think we convinced him. I think we got it.
Yeah.
I know my wheels are turning.
I've been trying to get him to do it.
So if y'all think this is a great idea, go ahead whenever we stop the video and make some comments. So let us know what you think.
Do a thumbs up if you agree with me.
Yeah, hit the thumbs up.
We need to do it.
Too.
I've been saying for years we need to do a reunion.
And hit a thumbs up on the video too, please, if you don't mind. If you don't like it, then hit thumbs up twice, because then that takes it off,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So before we end, Random Epics asked this question twice. He says, which is better, number 29 Scooby-Doo car or number 9 Dexter's Lab with Nadeau?
I have to go with the Scooby-Doo car just because that was the car that really resonated with me. I like Dexter's Laboratory. I remember the car. I've met Jerry Nadeau, great guy. I remember a lot about his stuff. that purple car resonated with me. That was kind of what made me fall in love with it. So I'm partial to that car.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, he had said earlier, what if you used a shorty bus at Bristol? Yeah, we were talking about that.
That worked.
Yeah, we could have built a 1,000 horsepower engine for it, you know.
So Bob Patterson tuned in. He says, I would try it, but be done after one race, and all I did was pit set up.
Oh, yes, pit setup stuff. All right. Well, Bob Patterson's tuned in. Bob used to travel with us on the 40 car with Sterling in those years. He said, I would try it, but be done after one race, and all I did was the pit setup. Oh, that's what you just read. That was Bob. Okay. Sorry, Bob.
You weren't listening.
I was scrolling through
Everybody
comments.
else was listening but you.
Well, I was scrolling through the comments and I saw Bob Patterson there. Yeah.
Speaking of Sterling, you were talking about
Yes.
Sterling.
Mhm.
You should, because Tony Glover is one of the officials, the ARCA officials now.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to, from what I was talking to Tony, I said, hey, I remembered you, because I had never met him. I said, I remembered you from when you worked for Morgan McClure, when you were working with Sterling. And he said, oh, Sterling. So it sounds like you need to get Glover on.
Oh, yeah.
I bet he's got stories for you.
All right. So I'm working on it. His son-in-law actually listens. His Jason Shoemaker, he married one of his daughters, and he's an Iredell County sheriff's deputy here.
Well, he can call
And
in if nothing else.
he'll flash his lights every once in a while when he passes by, and he usually listens on the radio while he's working. And but it's his son-in-law, so he's talked to him about coming in here. And I've seen Glover. I saw him at the SunTrust. It's been about 3 years ago, though. But anyway, we're also having a reunion coming up, so I'll see him there as well.
Cool.
In
Sterling
April.
reunion.
Yeah. So we'll get him on here though one of these days. He's he's doing ARCA stuff, I guess.
Yeah, he's an official for it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was a good guy. He's a lot of fun. To travel with back in the day. Just don't eat any potato chips after him. Just saying. That's another story.
He's always standing there in a garage, and he has his hands down, and he just looks so serious. And I walked up to him one day, and I said, Tony, you look like you're just either in charge or you're going to drop somebody. He had that half smile, and I'm like, okay, I've either won him over or I'm going to get penalized for the next race I run.
For sure. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll show you a picture. We were at California one time. We had some issues on the right front of the car, and I got the car jacked up and the wheel off, and he's just walking around the car, it's just like he's all, yeah, man, he get spring into action pretty quick, pretty serious. So, all right. So y'all check out my website. RacingRoots.com is the new website. So go on there and check it out. Let me know what you think, because I'm going to be posting a lot of history articles on there and that kind of stuff. But thank you so much for coming in, Kyle.
Dave, thank you guys so much for letting me come on. I've truly enjoyed this. It's been a pleasure. I just hope, I want to thank everybody who tuned in and for the questions. And really, if anybody wants to know, please visit my website at www.KyleLockrow.com. If anybody finds that QR code, scan it. Please pass it along to friends or anybody you might know. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok. I know I'm missing something else. LinkedIn. There's a plethora of social media that we've got.
Yeah. Your Twitch too. That's where you can watch your.
If you want to watch anything that we're doing, if I'm prepping for another race, or if I'm just in a league race, or just for fun, please on there that we can subscribe. You can get notifications when we go live on Twitch and watch from the driver's seat. You'll see me from there, and hopefully I stay out of somebody's accidents for once.
Yeah.
We also put up the link live on our Facebook page.
We do. Okay. Yeah. We try to share that as much as possible.
Okay. And thank you, Tanya, for coming in.
Oh, absolutely.
As well, and bringing him along and whatever.
Dragging him.
She does, dragging me anywhere I need to go.
I had Natalie Decker in here, and she was talking. She told me I need to do Twitch. So I started streaming my show on Twitch, which it normally would be tonight. But anyway, I can add that later. And but I can. I have no. I guess you have a following on there.
I don't really. I'm still developing a following. I know Natalie's. I mean, she's got quite the following through her social media, just because of all the interest she's involved in and everything that she's done. Yeah. So I know she's got quite the following, and she does quite a bit of sim racing as well. So. Yeah, I mean, you have to have a following, but you got to get on there to develop that following.
Yes.
So
yeah, everybody starts at zero.
Exactly.
So what I say about my YouTube channel too. It's like everybody starts at zero, and I started another one, and where did I start? It's zero.
Only one way to go, but up.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. All right. Well, thanks once again, and thanks everybody for tuning in on the radio and on YouTube and Random Epic. Tim says it's been a fun show, guys. Enjoyed it. Well, thank you. And Will Cronkite says that too. it is Cronkite. You know, if that sounds like I'm saying it wrong, it is how you spell his name. He says, good show as always. I'm off to bed. Yes, it is getting past your bedtime, Will. You sleep well.
It is. 8:30 is his bedtime.
And I'm working on that video. I'm getting it done for him. He went up and did a show. Yeah, you have. And you see me sitting there for a few hours, but just wanting to make it just right for you. Mm-hmm. So, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But he went to Ohio and did a speaking engagement with one of the racing series up there, a traveling series kind of thing. And man, it's great listening to his story. So what I do is I'm sitting there, I'm editing the video, but I'm also listening to his stories. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to skip over some of this. I'll go back and listen to it once I send it and it's done, you know. So there you go. All right. Well, y'all have a great rest of the week, and we will see you next Monday. I think next Monday we have some guests lined up from Phil Cavalli actually had lined some stuff up with some of the drivers in the I think it was the ARCA. No, not ARCA. I'm sorry. One of the series, whatever. So we'll see. It'll be a surprise as usual.
We've got one thumbs up for you doing the pit crew.
Oh, okay. So we got one support of Dickie Dennis. Yeah, he's probably gonna come help me.
He's gonna watch on my shoulders. He's gonna be on the fence watching.
He's a daredevil. He's a former Army guy. So, all right. Well, y'all have a great rest of the week, and see y'all next Monday.
Next time.
20,000 students. Iredell Statesville schools rank among the 20 largest school districts in North Carolina. Our teachers